It all started on a completely normal evening. I had just settled in on my couch, laptop in my lap, headphones on, ready to binge watch a few episodes of my favorite show while scrolling through social media at the same time because, of course, that's the life we live in now. Everything was perfect. Snacks at arm's reach, my drink on the side table, phone charging next to me, and Wi-Fi blazing fast. Or so I thought. The first hint that something was off came when a YouTube video I clicked started buffering. Not a big deal at first, right? Happens all the time. But then I noticed my other devices acting weird. Smart lights flickered for a second. My phone kept losing signal, and the live stream I had been watching froze on a frame where someone was mid-scream. Laughed, thinking, okay, classic Wi-Fi glitch, and went to check the router. That's when things started escalating. I walked to the corner of the room, stared at the little blinking lights on the router, and realized none of them were blinking in their normal pattern. The internet light was off entirely, and the little blinking dots for connection were dead. I had been here before, but this time, something felt different. This wasn't a 5-minute outage. This felt like the start of an apocalypse, but one measured in megabytes instead of fire. I sat back down and tried the simplest solution first, turning the Wi-Fi off and back on. Classic usually works, except it didn't. Not only did my devices refuse to connect, but my panic levels started to rise, because I had just been in the middle of posting a story. And my phone suddenly looked like it belonged to 2005. Instagram wouldn't load. My messages wouldn't send, and I swear I could feel the little bubble of anxiety in my chest growing bigger by the second. I decided to check my neighbors. Maybe it was just my router being dramatic. Opened my window and shouted down to the guy across the street, "Hey, Wi-Fi down." He waved vaguely, and I noticed he wasn't holding his phone, wasn't on his laptop, wasn't even looking at a screen. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just my problem. This was bigger. Much bigger. By now, the panic was fully setting in. I tried rebooting everything. Laptop, phone, tablet, smart speaker. Even the coffee machine that apparently had Wi-Fi built in these days. Nothing. Not a single blinking dot on any of my screens. And in a house built on connectivity, I suddenly felt completely cut off. It's a strange feeling, losing your digital life all at once. You think you're prepared, but you aren't. You realize how much you rely on this invisible stream of ones and zeros, and how powerless you are when it disappears. I tried to remember what life was like before Wi-Fi, reading a book, going outside, actually talking to people. The thought made me shiver. My brain screamed, "This is fine. You'll survive." But my fingers kept twitching like they were reaching for a connection that no longer existed. I started pacing, back and forth, back and forth. I tried refreshing a web page on my laptop. Nothing. I stared at the loading icon, hypnotized, willing it to turn into a home screen like some miracle would happen. But no, just that spinning circle mocking me. Then I thought maybe this was fate's way of teaching me patience. Maybe I needed a digital detox. Maybe I should read a book or meditate. But let us be honest, I had Netflix halfway through an episode of a new series 1D been dying to watch. And the idea of waiting for the Wi-Fi to come back felt like being trapped in a horror movie where the villain was invisible and had a name like No Connection. Hours passed. Or maybe minutes sit was hard to tell because time became meaningless when all of your clocks were synced to the internet. And the internet was dead. I started hearing strange noises. My neighbor's kids were shouting in the street. The distant hum of cars felt louder. I realized how little attention I paid to the physical world around me because, usually, I was plugged in. Now I noticed every little sound, every flicker of light, every shadow. It was unnerving. I made the mistake of trying to contact my internet provider. I called the number, and the automated voice told me to check my connection and restart my modem. I laughed, quietly, bitterly. Restarting my modem had been step 1, 2, and 3. Step 4 was considering calling an ex just to have a conversation that didn't require Wi-Fi. But no, I couldn't do that either. I didn't have the number memorized. Of course! I started walking around my apartment like a caged animal. Every time I sat down, I felt the urge to check my phone. Every time I picked up a book, my brain screamed, but it's not interactive. How will you know if anyone is liking it? I didn't know whether to cry, scream, or laugh. It was pure digital withdrawal. And then, the most horrifying realization hit me. I had no idea what the date was. Without my devices updating everything in real time, I was completely untethered from reality. In my panic, I opened my laptop one last time, hoping against hope for a signal, a miracle, a blinking light that would bring me back to life. I stared at the blank screen and noticed something else. My cat, who had been lounging on the windowsill, jumped down and stared at me. He had no Wi-Fi, no social media, no obligations. He just existed, and somehow he seemed calm. Maybe he was judging me. Maybe he was enjoying the chaos of my breakdown. Either way, it was a wake-up call. I sat on the couch, took a deep breath, and started thinking about how ridiculous the situation was. Here I was, a grown adult, panicking because I couldn't stream a video or send a text. And yet, here was the opportunity to live a few hours completely unplugged. To talk to myself, to listen to the world, to notice the small things. I even found myself smiling at the absurdity of it all. The Wi-Fi was gone, yes, but life, strangely, was still happening. Hours later, I finally heard the familiar beep of my router rebooting. Lights flickered back on, devices started reconnecting, and the world returned to normal. My phone buzzed with notifications, my laptop updated, and my coffee machine even chimed as if it had been waiting for this moment. And while relief washed over me, I couldn't help but feel a little nostalgic for the few hours I had spent without the constant digital noise. There was clarity in the chaos. There was peace in the pause. And I made a mental note to do it again, maybe even intentionally next time. So yeah, that was my day when Wi-Fi dropped. A small disaster, definitely. A lesson in patience, absolutely. And honestly, kind of a reminder that life doesn't actually stop when your connection does. Sometimes It's the absence of signal that makes you notice what's really around you and maybe, just maybe, appreciate it a little more. If you've ever lost Wi-Fi and felt like the world was ending, comment below and share your survival tactics. How did you cope? Did you rage? Did you cry? Or did you, like me, sit and reflect on how addicted we've all become to this invisible lifeline? Hit that like button if you've been there, and subscribe. Because I've got more stories of modern life chaos, digital disasters, and the absurdities of surviving 2025 coming your way. Trust me, you don't want to miss it.